Hello everyone, hope you guys are having an amazing day today. This is Walid Ashraf and I'm a registered pharmacist in Australia. It's been a quite while that I was thinking to make this kind of video in which I'm going to discuss visa options and as well as how you can get yourself registered here in Australia. So yeah, I have been a member of this group, and as well as there is another group in Facebook. The one is Australian Pharmacy Examination Group and the other one is CAPS group. So there are so many people on those two groups who don't have much idea or what are the steps being involved in getting registered. And even when I was a newbie in those groups, it was also like the same situation I don't have much information at the time, so I thought to make this video. And before starting the process and step being involved, I would like to mention that getting visa is completely a different process which is being dealt by immigration department, while getting your registration thing done is being dealt by Australian Pharmacy Council. So yeah, alright, so let's start it. First of all, to get yourself registered as a pharmacist, there are different steps which I have divided into 7 different steps. Step 1 is that you have to apply for a document evaluation process. Document evaluation is like you have to submit all of your documents to Australian Pharmacy Council, and as well as your registration certificate, which is extremely important in this. And after submission, the Australian Pharmacy Council is going to take 8 weeks to respond you back. And if they respond you back with the eligibility letter, it means that all of your documents are correct, and they find you suitable for the CAPS exam. So CAPS is a step 2, and CAPS is usually held 3 times a year depending on your location and as well as your country. So there are different centers of the CAPS available, like in Oman, Dubai, India, Pakistan. So it's up to you. Wherever you reside, you can just book the center over there. And CAPS is basically a computer-based exam. It's not an online exam, and there are 2 different papers. In each paper you have to score 50%. So the syllabus is already mentioned on the website. I'm not going into detail of that. So like in my case, I was not having center in Pakistan. I belong to Pakistan, so I traveled all the way to Dubai. But I think now the center is available in Pakistan as well, so you have to double check the website. So after clearing CAPS, you have to appear in a English exam. So English exam can be either IELTS or PTE. I personally give PTE, which is known as Pearson Test of English, and I found it quite easy as compared to IELTS. Well, everybody has its own different opinion. So in English exam you have to score 7 bands in each of the 4 modules. That is reading, writing, listening and speaking. That's it. So yeah, step 1 is document evaluation, step 2 is CAPS, step 3 is your English exam, and now step 4 is that you have to apply for a provisional registration. Provisional registration means that you can start your internship hours. There are 1,824 hours, which is the legal requirement. You have to do those hours before getting your full registration. So 1,824 hours is usually going to take around an year if you are working as a full-time intern pharmacist. But I think due to COVID situation, they have reduced the hours to 1,500 or something. But more or less, it might gonna take an year if you are working full-time, right? So after step 4, you have to get yourself enrolled in an intern training program which is offered by PSA or Guild. So you have to do some online modules, some kind of assignments on that, and that is the mandatory requirement. So you have to get yourself enrolled with any of these 2, either PSA or Guild. So after step 4, there is a step 5, which is to appear in your written exam. The written exam requirement is that you have to complete your 40% of supervised practice hours. So the 40% of 1,824 might be around 800 or 900 hours. And after attempting your written exam, you have to clear that one to get yourself enrolled in a oral exam. And for oral exam, there is a requirement of around 75% hours completion. So you can enroll yourself in an oral exam, but first you have to clear your written exam, and as well as your 75% hours should have to be completed, right? So yeah, this is the step 6, and finally after the completion of the remaining 25% hours, you can finally apply for your registration as a pharmacist in Australia. So this is the whole process which you have to go through being an overseas pharmacist. So I'm going to summarize it again. Step 1, document evaluation. Step 2 is a CAPS exam. Step 3 is an English exam. Step 4, apply for provisional registration and start your internship. Step 5 is to appear in the written exam. I don't have much fingers. Step 6 is oral exam, and then finally you have to apply for your registration as a pharmacist. So this time when you're going to apply for registration, it is a general registration. I mean, previously, as I have mentioned, that you have to apply for provisional registration before starting working as an intern. Now you have to apply for general registration. General registration means that you can work as a pharmacist individually without any supervision, right? So yeah. And now the second part, which is the visa thing, which I'm going to discuss now, is as I told you in the beginning, that visa is being dealt by a different organization, which is the Department of Immigration. So it has nothing to do with Australian Pharmacy Council. Basically, Australian Pharmacy Council is in a body which assesses your skills. So each and every occupation in Australia has its own assessing authority. Like in case of industrial pharmacists, we have got BITSS. But in case of hospital pharmacists, or a retail pharmacist, or a community pharmacist, we have got Australian Pharmacy Council. So they are different assessing authorities. They have nothing to do with the visa thing. They just give you assessment, and on the basis of assessment, you can claim your points. So for CAPS, you are going to get 15 points straight, and the rest of the point depends on your English exam and on your age as well. So now the visa options. We have got two different types of visa categories. One is sponsored by state, the other one is sponsored by employer. In case of state sponsored visa, we have got again two different options, which is 190 and 491. So in case of 190 visa, it is basically a permanent resident visa, direct PR visa, while 491 is a 5 years visa, in which after 3 years you can apply for a PR. So both these visas are given by the state. Means you can say, like, there are different states in Australia, and each state is having its own requirement. If they think that the pharmacist, they need a pharmacist, then they can just upload on their website that they are looking for a pharmacist, and their seats are available and the visa options are available for these pharmacists. So after clearing CAPS and English exam, I mean on step 3, you are living in your own country. So the thing is that you have to apply for a visa to come here and start your internship. So yeah, to start your internship, you have to go through the websites of various states, depending that which visa is open or not, either 190 or 491. But these days, the visa situation of getting sponsored by a state is quite difficult. Even the immigration all over in Australia, I mean in any occupation, is quite difficult, but in terms of pharmacists, the options are quite narrow, and you cannot easily get a state sponsored visa. I mean, it depends on state to state. You have to be very careful and smart. You have to look the website on daily basis. Maybe they can open for a month or even for a week, so you have to just double check the websites. But I think these days the options are quite narrow. New South Wales visa 190 is open, but they require very high point. I'm not sure about it. So after, like, you have cleared CAPS and English exam, now the thing is that you don't have any state sponsored visa. Let's say 190 is not available or 491 is not available. So what is the next step? And if you're very keen to come to Australia and you have done hard work in CAPS and IELTS, so in this case, the other option which you have got is employer sponsored visa. So in case of employer sponsored visa, there are again two different options. One is 407 subclass and the other one is 494 subclass. So in this case, you need an employer who is the owner of a pharmacy in Australia, and he is happy to sponsor you as an intern. So 494 is a 5 years visa, and After 3 years, you can apply for a PR. Similarly, 407 is not a 5 years visa. 407 is just like an occupational trainee visa. So you can either complete your internship on that visa and then later on you can apply for a new visa category. But I just want to make it very clear that being sponsored by an employer and being sponsored by a state is a quite different thing. In state sponsorship, you are happy, you are free to work anywhere in any city, under any supervision, under any pharmacy. There is no restriction. But in case of employer sponsored visa, you have to work with the same employer. You can't work anywhere else. You can't work in any other occupation as well. So let's say if you got a sponsorship from a state, and when you arrive in Australia, you think that you don't want to work in a pharmacy, so you can work anywhere. You can do any kind of job. So there is no requirement. But in case of employer sponsored visa, there is a strict requirement that you have to work with the same employer, and whatever pay rate which you have mutual understanding and mutual commitment, the employer is going to pay you the same rate. And usually the employer pays the minimum wages, which is determined by the government. So always the state nominated option is the best option as compared to employer sponsored visas. So yeah, but here the question arises that not everybody have links and references with the employers here in Australia, and no state is not open as well. So in this case, what you can do is either you can contact some recruitment agencies, because there are various recruitment agencies in Australia who are recruiting the pharmacists or overseas pharmacists directly from their own country to Australia. They have some contacts with the employer, but they might gonna charge you some extra fees, which may be around $3,000 or $4,000. I'm not sure about it. So yeah, and now the question is that if that recruitment agency is sponsoring you directly from your own country, so the employer who is looking for you, who is sponsoring you from your own country, it must be having a pharmacy in a very remote or regional area, because they can't find the local to work in the regional area, because the regional areas are very isolated, or you can say there are not much people living over there, and the living facilities is not like as we have in cities like Melbourne, Sydney or Brisbane. And if they can easily find, if they can somehow find an overseas candidate, the local candidate here in Australia, then that candidate is going to charge huge amount. So that is the reason they are looking for an overseas pharmacist, so that they can save the money, and as well as you are also getting yourself, your internship thing done. So that's how it works, I think. But you just have to make sure while coming to regional areas of Australia that they have very different kind of living situation. I must say that living in a regional area is completely a different thing. I would say that it is not a part of Australia even. So yeah, I have discussed all the basic points in this video, and I think that if you need any information like on any visa categories, you can just Google it directly. As I told you, that 190, 491, 494 and 407, these are the visa options. These are the 4 basic visa options, so that you can just Google it and you can easily get the information. And yeah, I have discussed all the points, and if you think that there is any question in your mind, you can just hit the comment down, and if I have information on that, I will definitely gonna get back to you. Alright, thank you so much. See ya.